Hey guys, I'm Ash, travel addict and owner of Adventure Travel Pro. In this series, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know and do when organising your first solo backpacking trip overseas. From overcoming fears, planning your trip, and choosing the right travel gear for you, to things like how do you stay safe and healthy while abroad, or how do you meet people and make friends, and also tips on how to budget effectively so you don't run out of money while you're overseas. It's all here. And I'm so looking forward to holding your hand throughout the entire journey of organising your trip end to end. Now, if you're a first-time solo traveller, you're in luck. I want to give you access to our free solo travel starter pack. This pack includes access to our 5-day solo travel bootcamp mini course and also our free solo travel checklist, where I outline the 10 crucial steps you should follow when organising your first backpacking trip. And it's all for free. Just sign up via the link below and we can get you started. Now let's jump straight into the video. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ash, and today we're going to be diving into the various different styles and types of solo travel you can do when organising your first backpacking trip overseas. So whether you're into structured, longer group tours, or you're maybe looking for something a bit quicker, maybe a short tour, or you're wanting to do something where you give back to the community and try something more meaningful like a volunteer project, or if you're feeling extra confident and extra curious, maybe traveling entirely on your own without a group tour is just what you need. So in this video, I'm going to be talking you through all the different types, the different benefits of each style, so you can try and identify what style is actually going to be best suited for you and for your adventure. Awesome. So let's look at some benefits of doing group tours. So the first benefit I'd love to talk to you guys about is the convenience and the ease of planning that comes with booking a pre-planned group tour. So something that is really great is, a lot of these tours are actually run by experts. They're run by people, locals who know the area. They know all the best sites and they know exactly where to take you to get the best experience of that area. So it can take out a lot of the stress of trying to organize logistics, trying to organize planning. In most cases, the tour operators handle everything. And so there's so much less that you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about the types of accommodation. You don't have to worry about transport. You don't have to worry about itinerary planning and structuring out your days and knowing exactly what you need to do. They do all of that for you, which can be a really, really great advantage, especially if you're traveling on your own for the first time. It can really help to reduce that overwhelm that first-time solo travelers often feel when organising their first trip. And especially if you're trying to organise your first trip by yourself. The second advantage of a group tour is that benefit of having a built-in social network. So a really common fear that a lot of people have when traveling solo for the first time is that idea of feeling isolated and not necessarily having an easy way to meet people, or at least feeling that way, feeling that it might be difficult to meet people. You're on your own. It's very scary. You lack that social connection, I suppose, in some ways. And so sometimes having that pre-organized group tour where 100% you're going to be traveling with other people, it makes it a lot easier to meet people and you don't feel like you're traveling alone, which can be a really great start for your first trip. Something as well is that they're often made up with fellow travelers and people who are like-minded and they're interested in similar things as you, given that they're wanting to do the exact same type of tour within the destination that you're interested in. The other advantage as well is that you get to actually share the experiences that you have on that group tour with those fellow travelers that are on that trip with you, and yet share that overall experience and that memory. Sometimes when you're traveling on your own, that can be one of the tricky parts is, you'll have the most incredible experience. You'll go on an amazing hike or you'll see an incredible destination. But then when you're there, you're like, oh my God, okay, I have no one here to share this with. It's just me. Like sometimes it's amazing because you can just breathe, close your eyes, take in the experience. But I can understand that sometimes for some people, wanting to actually have that person there to share it with can be a really impactful moment in your journey. So that's another benefit of being on a group tour. The third benefit of group tours is that additional safety and support that you often will feel. So something that I know from my own experience when doing group tours is that it helps to take that pressure off you in terms of constantly being conscious of your safety, because a lot of the time your tour providers or your tour guides, they know the places to avoid, they know what to look out for, they know the common scams, they know the locals, and it can be really helpful, especially if you're going to destinations that are a bit less safe than others. So for example, I've done quite a lot of group tours throughout my travel adventures. I did a group tour through the Middle East. Actually, I did a group tour in Egypt. I did a group tour in Morocco. And I've also did a 40-day overlanding trip, a group tour from South Africa all the way up through Southern Africa to the east. And yeah, it was the most amazing experience. And what I loved was that because Africa in some places can be a little bit unpredictable, actually having the tour guides there to lean on, you know, if something went wrong or they know how to navigate a certain situation. There was an example where we were crossing borders into Tanzania, and it was quite a hot spot for scams in terms of people like fake police, or let's say corrupt police, pulling you over saying that you've been speeding. And ultimately, yeah, like you hadn't been, but they would have someone take a photo of your vehicle, edit it to look like you were over the speed limit, and then send that to a policeman far up ahead. And then that policeman would be waiting for you to pull you over and show you that image of, hey, I can see you've been speeding. And yeah, like if I was driving myself, the idea of navigating that would be so scary. I wouldn't even know what to do. But because we were in a big tour bus, like a big sort of coach, they did pull us over and they checked us. And I think they even did actually threaten to take the driver to prison if he didn't pay the bribe. And that's what they do. The main way that you get out of it is that you pay them a bribe. And yeah, I don't know what happened in the end. I don't know if they paid them or if they talked out of it, but we're fine. We ended up getting through that moment, and yeah, it was a bit of a relief. But that's why group tours can be great, right? Because you've got that added safety of having those people around you, that extra layer of security if you need it. And having that support system, especially as a female traveler, can be really reassuring. It can be a little bit less intimidating than being completely on your own, for sure. Another benefit of group tours is that you get that expert guidance. So I think, as I mentioned before, a lot of the tour providers and the local tour guides, they're locals. They've lived there their whole life, or even if they haven't lived there the whole life, they've studied it, they've been trained. They know a lot of the little pockets that, you know, maybe are more special or more unique, and they can take you there. Whereas sometimes when you're on your own, you don't know about all those places, and you only really know of the ones that you see on Google or that you happen to come across in your research. And they often tend to be the more touristy ones, unless you dig deeper and are a bit of a research Nazi like me. But yeah, that can be a really great advantage as well, is that they're so well versed in the destination that they can offer so much invaluable insight and guidance. And what I also find is that you gain such a greater understanding of the local culture, the history and the attractions, which sometimes you miss out when you're traveling on your own individually. So, and the history is a big one. I find that it's so interesting between history and culture. I feel like sometimes when you do group tours, it's just the best way to get insight into that overall picture of your destination. I've definitely been to places before where I've done it on my own, and I'll still read a lot of the plaques and information and brochures, and I try to sort of read the history. But it's not as easy to understand what's happened or the real culture and the real history of the place unless someone actually puts it into kind of a meaningful story and an easy way to understand a simple summary. So that's a really good advantage of group tours as well. Something else as well is that sometimes being in a group with a bigger number actually gives you that ability to visit exclusive locations. In some instances, for example, like if you want to go, I don't know, like certain group day trips, like canoeing, kayaking, or that's not really a group, I guess. Well, I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't really think. But yeah, so like sometimes if you want to go to an exclusive location, you can actually have a greater chance of actually being able to get there when you've got a group of people and it's already pre-arranged for you, whether it's like a behind the scenes tour, some kind of private tasting, or a guided visit to a remote location. You tend to be more successful where they can pre-arrange that for you and you're part of a group, as opposed to trying to ring up or trying to organize it where you're just one person. They'll be like, get lost, go away. But yeah, having a bigger group behind you can sometimes give you access to more unique experiences and remote locations as well. Another one as well is that group tours can often be more cost effective. So this is definitely something I have experienced, where sometimes when you book a tour, you look at how much they are, you're like, oh my God, like that's really expensive. I'm just going to book it myself. Like I'm just going to do my own thing, my own itinerary. But sometimes what you actually find happens is that when you're traveling on your own, sometimes there's a single supplement fee. And so what it means is like if you're planning to stay in accommodation on your own, or, you know, a room, or even just certain activities, they'll tend to actually charge you a premium, which I think is shit, to be honest. I think that's so lame. But when you're in a group tour, you don't get that. You know, sometimes they can actually get discounts on activities because they have the group participating in it. And that can then flow down into what you pay as part of the tour. It can happen the same with logistics as well. So like any kind of transport, you know, being in a bus is often cheaper when you divide it per head in the bus, as opposed to hiring a car on your own. So yeah, these are all things that it's really great to think about and consider when considering or thinking about which travel style is best for you. And so what that means is that sometimes you can get better value for money by actually purchasing a group tour, especially if certain activities are involved within the tour. You don't have to pay extra for them, as opposed to what it would be if you're trying to book everything on your own. Another benefit as well with group tours is that there's so much choice these days. Like with COVID, obviously it put a bit of a spanner in the works, and a lot of companies, you know, did go bust. But realistically, there is a lot of choice out there in terms of different tours to suit different interests. And so what I find is that it's great where you can, you know, there's so many diverse itineraries that you can really look for what you're interested in and find a tour that reflects that. And I'll talk a little bit about that a bit later in this section. But yeah, it's great that way, because you can make sure that you're not just doing a standard tour. You know, you can actually choose a tour that is important to your values, what you're interested in, and maybe some of the destinations that are on your bucket list that you 100% want to go to. A big one that I think is really relevant when talking about travel styles and group tours particularly is the pre-organized travel and transport. So this was one of the reasons I actually did that group tour in Africa. And the reason I did it was because Africa is not the easiest continent to navigate in terms of public transport, logistics, getting between cities, you know, and especially not if you're not a local. So if you're going to stand out like a sore thumb like me, you know, white, blue eyes, kind of a bit of lighter color hair, you know, you are female. If I'm traveling on my own, you're going to draw so much attention to yourself, not even intentionally, just because you stand out. So what I found I wanted with the tour was, and that overlanding portion of it, was that it was actually, I was paying not only for the tour and the experiences, but it was allowing me to see so many different countries and get between them in a safe way. The other piece of it as well is that you get a structured schedule with some flexibility. So when I did that overland trip, I loved it. I did it with G Adventures. Majority of my tours that I do is often with G Adventures. I think they're a great company, and I love what they stand for and their values, and how, you know, they always want to try and support local wherever they travel, and they want it to be a more down-to-earth experience rather than just to catch up and drink and get smashed. kind of tour. So with G Adventures, what I like with their tours is that they schedule your itinerary, but they always give you options and they always allow you to have some time for flexibility. So what that means is that you often will have set things that you'll do in your day, and then there'll be a portion of it where they just don't organize anything and it's just free time for you, whether you want to walk around the town, go shopping, do an activity of your own that you're interested in, you know, go eat some food. There's lots of different things you can do, but I just love that they actually plan in that free time within the tour. So it's not just go, 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 go all the time, and you're not constantly feeling rushed and always jumping back on the bus before you're ready and feeling overwhelmed and like you haven't seen a place to its full potential. I feel like that's a really great feature of the G Adventure tours, and I'll include a link to G Adventures below so you can check them out, because they do a whole range of short and long tours for, I think it's ages 18 to 35, and they also have other categories as well. But overall, yeah, they have such a diverse range of tours, and yeah, I've done probably, what have I done, like three or four or more tours with them, and I haven't been disappointed to date. So definitely check them out. Cool. So that's it for group tours. So the key things is you don't have to organize everything yourself. The itinerary is organized for you, which is lovely. You also have the added security and safety and education from a local tour guide or someone who is expert in the area, and they have all that added knowledge that you might not get when just traveling on your own. There's also the ability to save money, because they sometimes get discounts to places because it's a bigger group. And so you get to save on some of those single supplement fees or just, you know, fees that you might experience booking things on your own. Cool. So tour companies, these are some of the ones that I recommend or have experienced in my life. So when I was traveling for the first time, so this is, geez, a long time ago now, I was still in my teens, I think. Maybe, I think I was definitely in my teens, minimum early 20s, maximum early 20s. So I did a Kentucky. I did a Kentucky in New Zealand from the north, including the North and the South Island. And Kentucky was really good because it gave me that exposure and that idea. I actually traveled with my sister at the time, but it gave me the ability to experience firsthand what it's like traveling without parents, you know, and doing your own itinerary and having it all planned out for you, being able to meet people. But what I did find was the atmosphere was more of that sort of party atmosphere of like, go to a place, but then every night, you know, visiting a bar, visiting a club and kind of drinking. You know, it was a really big, heavy drinking culture when I was back then, when I did a Kentucky. So I think for me, I enjoyed it. I think it's great if you're into that kind of thing, want a party, want a younger crowd, want it to just be a really fun experience, then definitely check out Kentucky. There's also Top Deck as well. Top Deck is a very similar type of company. I think they do exactly the same thing. There might be a little less of a focus on drinking and partying, but I haven't actually done a Top Deck tour before, so I'm not 100% sure how different they are from each other. I think the main difference with Top Deck is, so I think Kentucky is for that younger age group. Top Deck tends to be a little bit broader, I think, in terms of your age. And there is a little bit more of a focus on that cultural experience for both budget and comfort. Whereas I think Kentucky tends to typically try and pack in as much as possible with as lower budget and then with that kind of party aspect as well. As I mentioned before, so G Adventures, awesome. They're probably the one now, since I've been in my 20s and 30s, that I prefer to use for longer tours anyway. So anything sort of from like a 7+ day tour, I tend to choose G Adventures. And I love them. As I mentioned earlier, I love their mission. I love that they like to focus and support local. You know, they're always looking for how can they have a positive impact on the environment and be a bit more sustainable in how they travel. They cater to ages, I think it's 18 to 35, and they might even be a little bit higher than that, depending on, like, I think they've got luxury tours and sort of like, what do they call them? National Geographic exhibitions that are a bit more expensive. But for just the standard tours, I think they're fantastic. I couldn't say a bad word about them. Every tour I've been on, I've just been, it's always exceeded my expectations. So if you're considering a longer tour, 100% check out G Adventures, and I'll include a link to them below so you can check out their website, some of the tours as well. And yeah, they're a really great option if you're traveling for the first time overseas. Cool. So the next one to consider in terms of travel styles is shorter trips and tours. So this can range from simple day trips to maybe tours of a few days long. And these are really great if you are planning to travel majority of your trip on your own, but then you do want to have those times within your trip where you actually do a group tour and you get to actually meet people without having to put necessarily effort in to meet them. They're going to be there with you. And also if you just want to have a really easy way where someone's going to show you around, show you all the main activities, you don't have to think a lot about it, and you want to see a lot in a short period of time. So that's where short tours can be really good, and similar benefits as the long tours in terms of having those local tour guides or just a tour guide in general. They can share their expertise with you. They can share that history, give you a bit of insight into the culture, answer any questions that you might have about the destination. But yeah, that's often what I love to do. I love, if I'm doing a longer trip, I love to inject a combination of long tours, short tours, volunteer projects, all of the above into my trip to have that diversity of periods where I'm on my own entirely, as well as then doing trips where I've got people around me and you get that social connection. So short tours are great from that perspective, and similar to long tours, you've got your safety and security that comes with it as well, of being with that person who knows where to go and where not to go. You can maximize a lot in a limited amount of time, see a lot of the main sort of things. You don't have to plan your own travel itinerary. They will do it all for you, so you don't have to really think about it. You can have a break from planning your trip, which sometimes, oh my goodness, you do need. I promise you, especially if you're doing the majority of your trip on your own. Sometimes having a break or not having to organize anything is such a relief. Yeah, I think some of the benefits really of short tours is very similar to long tours. So I'm not going to go into that detail as much, but the main thing just to keep in mind is you do often have a choice. You can either choose a longer tour, which might be, a week plus, or your shorter day tours or multi-day tours and excursions, which can be really, really great options. So in terms of companies that are great to check out for short tours, some of my favorites is Get Your Guide. I love these guys. I've booked a lot of short day tours through them. And again, I haven't really had any tours which I've been disappointed with, or it hasn't quite met my expectations. Again, they're not really, I don't think Get Your Guide actually run their own tours, but how it works is they have tour companies advertise on their website. So it pretty much will have all the different tours in one place. And so you can just quickly kind of navigate through the website, use different filters to find tours that meet your interests and your needs. So yeah, Get Your Guide's a great one. I'll include a link for them in the description below, because I use them a lot and I find they're really helpful. It's a really easy process to book your tours as well, which it just helps with making it a seamless journey. A couple of other ones. So you've got Viator as well, or Viator, don't quite know how to say it. Very similar to Get Your Guide. Really, it just depends what platform you prefer, really. It's the same with TripAdvisor as well, which I don't know why. I can't get on TripAdvisor. Sorry TripAdvisor, but yeah, I find their platform really not intuitive, and I always hate going on TripAdvisor. Maybe I'm the only person, but yeah, no, my favorites Get Your Guide. Viator can have some good options. I'll make sure I include some links below so you can check them out quite easily. So yeah, I hope you've gained value from this session and from today's topic. And I'm just so excited that you're planning your trip and considering taking that leap of faith. Go you, girl. This is amazing. I am so supportive and so excited for you. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. And don't forget, if you want to gain access to our free solo travel starter pack, which includes our 5-day solo travel bootcamp mini course and our 10-step solo travel checklist, simply go to our website via the link below and sign up today. That's it for today's video. I hope to see you tomorrow, where we'll dive even deeper into the world of solo travel. I look so forward to sharing all my latest tips and tricks to help you with organizing your first solo backpacking trip overseas confidently and safely.